Microsoft just dropped a huge security update. Their Patch Tuesday is huge this month. 130 CVEs. Now, CVE stands for Common Vulnerabilities and Exploits, including 10 critical bugs, some so dangerous they can let hackers take over your system without even clicking on anything. So you're going to need to stay tuned because we're going to break down the biggest threats. I'm Brian Longworth, host of A Faster PC Live Technical Support. Here's the deal. Microsoft's July Patch Tuesday is here, and it's a monster. Microsoft just released fixes for 130 vulnerabilities across Windows, Office, Azure, and more. Even worse, 10 are critical, and one is already publicly known. That means that hackers are probably either exploiting it or they will be soon. And with third-party vulnerabilities, it brings the total to actually 140 CVEs this month. So why is there a surge this month? Well, we're not exactly sure. Maybe Microsoft is trying to patch these all before some big hacker conferences that are coming up soon, or maybe it's just the way things go. But one thing is for certain, you need to get out there and install these patches immediately. Get these installed so that your computer can be protected. So we're going to go over the biggest of these threats. There's the SPNEGO Extended Negotiation, or SPNEGO X security mechanism, remote code execution vulnerability. Remote code execution, or RCE, is where code can be executed remotely without someone actually having physical access to the computer. This heap-based buffer overflow impacts the Windows SPNEGO Extended Negotiation component and allows remote, unauthenticated attackers to execute code simply by sending a malicious message to the affected system. Since there's no user interaction and since the code executes with elevated privileges, this bug falls into the wormable class of bugs. Microsoft also gives this its highest exploitability index rating, which means they expect attack within 30 days. I would say, you know what? Get out there, install the patch, make sure that you're protected. Microsoft SQL Server has a remote code execution vulnerability. Speaking of heap-based buffer overflows, here's one in SQL Server that could lead to code execution by an attacker executing a malicious query on an affected SQL Server system. They could also escape the context of the SQL Server and execute code on the host itself. Servicing this will not be easy. If you're running your own application or an affected third-party application on an affected system, you will need to update your application to use Microsoft OLE DB driver 18 or 19. The bulletin has full details, so be sure to read it carefully and ensure you take the steps to address this vulnerability fully. So this is critical. There are a lot of programs that run on SQL. So you may not know what SQL is. You may not know if you have it or not, but quite often there are a lot of programs, maybe programs that you're running on your systems, that use SQL. There's a Microsoft SharePoint remote code execution vulnerability. This bug originated from PWN2Own Berlin and was used as part of a chain by the Vitel Cybersecurity team to exploit SharePoint and win $100,000. In other words, Microsoft is paying security experts to try to find ways and try to find vulnerabilities and to hack into their system. And if they're capable of doing that, they actually get rewarded. And then Microsoft knows about the vulnerability and can actually patch the vulnerability. This particular bug allowed code injection over the network. On its own, it requires some level of authentication. However, At the contest, the team paired it with an authentication bypass bug to evade this requirement. Their demonstration shows how authentication alone cannot be trusted to protect from attacks. There's also a Microsoft Office remote code execution vulnerability. This is one of 4 critically rated Office bugs in this release. All of them have the preview pane listed as an attack vector. So you may have seen that where you're actually clicking on the file, you don't actually open the file, but the file previews. Well, there are certain files that are maliciously crafted and certain Microsoft Office bugs that can allow malicious code to be run just through previewing the file. This is the 3rd month in a row with critically rated Office bugs, which is a disturbing trend. And you need to make sure that, first of all, you're running a version of Microsoft Office that is currently supported and is being updated. By the way, anything before Microsoft Office 2016 is not being supported and is not being updated. Microsoft Office 2016 is only going to be updated through October 14th, just like Windows 10. So it's important that you update to a newer version, either Microsoft 365 or they do now have out Microsoft Office 2024. But even those newer versions still have to be updated. So Mac users are out of luck since updates for Microsoft Office LTSC for Mac 2021 and 2024 aren't available yet. Perhaps it's time to consider disabling the preview pane until Microsoft sorts some of these problems out. And of course, if you have a Windows-based computer, make sure that you're installing the updates. Now, these updates are really big. Again, one of them is publicly known and 10 are critical. You need to make sure that you get out and install the updates right away. So what we're going to do, I'm going to switch over to a full screen, and I will actually show you how you can actually install the Microsoft Windows updates. So what we're going to do, we're going to click on the Start button. In Windows 10, that's on the left-hand side. It's a 4-pane window. In Windows 11, it's closer to the center unless you've moved it to the left. We're going to look for the settings or gear. Some people call it a cog. I've moved mine into a utilities folder. We're going to load that up, and then we're going to go to Windows Updates. Once we go to Windows Updates, this is going to check for updates, or if your updates haven't yet been installed, you'll actually see those updates available and you can go ahead and install them. You can search for updates if you don't have those updates installed yet, or if you want to know whether you have the updates or whether updates are available, you can actually search for updates. I will tell you, if you want to actually make sure that your updates, and it is important to make sure that your updates are installed quickly. Really, when you have a major update like this, 130, really 140 with the third-party patches out there, the third-party vulnerabilities, 140 of them, 10 of them rated as critical, 1 publicly known, and 1 Microsoft says, hey, this is going to be exploited within the next 30 days. You'll want to make sure that you get these updates as quickly as possible. So a faster PC does have managed services, and with our managed services, all of our managed services clients, we have this for businesses, for attorneys' offices, for accountants' offices, medical offices, dental offices, nonprofits. We have it for people that have home offices. We have this for people that have just a residential computer. We have various plans of managed services, and all of our managed services clients get automated patch management. Twice a day, we're looking for patches to Windows. We're also, on average, every 4 hours, looking for updates to programs such as Google Chrome, Firefox, Zoom, 7-Zip, Adobe Reader, some other programs out there. We're looking to updates to those. There have been zero-day threats in the last few years to all of these, multiple zero-day threats, even in the last few months with Google Chrome. So you want to really, I mean, you could keep track of these and figure out, well, when are these happening? Or you could just actually get the updates installed. And that's what we're encouraging you to do. Go ahead and get those updates installed. Make sure that you're installing those updates. And that all happens automatically through our managed clients. If you're interested in signing up for our managed services, give us a call, 772-878-5978, or visit us on the web at fasterpc.com. Cybersecurity problems? You need a faster PC.